Good evening, my dear students. In our last video, we had learnt about the relation between B and H and mu and chi, and also derived the expressions for differential form of Ampere's law and integral form in magnetism. In my current video, I am going to discuss with you the hysteresis and hysteresis loop. Now see, my dear students, first of all, to understand the hysteresis word, I have supposed a sample of ferromagnetic material in unmagnetized state. You people know that ferromagnetic are the materials which get magnetized strongly when they are placed in an external magnetic field, or you can say when external magnetic field is applied to the ferromagnetic materials, all the magnetic dipoles get aligned themselves strongly in the direction of the magnetic field, which becomes the cause of the magnetization of the ferromagnetic material. For such a sample, I have taken a ferromagnetic sample in unmagnetized state, which is subjected to an external magnetic field H. Due to this magnetic field H, the magnetic field start to induce in the magnetic sample. In other words, you can say the sample starts to gain M, the magnetization. Now see, if we plot a graph between M and H, you can see here the graph in figure E. When the graph is looked, now see, from starting the point O, where H is equal to 0, I have taken along x-axis as H, the applied magnetic field, and along y-axis I have taken M, the magnetization vector. Dear students, you can see clearly from this figure that initially when magnetic field is 0, M is 0. So as long as the magnetic field is increased from O towards G, what happens? M also increases along OA, along this dotted line, OA. Alright. Now after reaching the point A, when magnetic field is at point G, magnetization vector M vector reaches at point A. Now if I increase H beyond this point G, my M will not increase. Means M will be saturated over here at point A. It becomes maximum at point A, corresponding to M saturation. If now you increase H away from G, what happens? This line would be a straight line parallel to H axis. So in other words, you can say that there is no provision for M to increase beyond a certain magnetic field H. Alright. Now from O to G, M increases up to AG. Alright. Now see what happens. When I decrease H from G towards O, so M should also decrease from A to O. But in fact, M does not follow the same path AO. It follows a path ABC. That means as long as H decreases from G to O, M decreases from B to A to B first of all. At point B, when H becomes 0, see the point B is opposite to O. That means here at point O, because H is 0, so at point B H becomes 0. So at point B, when H is equal to 0, M does not become 0. M has a certain value OB, which is known to be, see, OB equal to MR. It is known to be the residual magnetism OB corresponding to 0 applied field H. Now further, I have to reverse the direction of H. Now on reversing the direction, if now again I increase H in the reverse direction from O to K, see, M first decreases from B to C till it becomes 0 at point C. So M becomes 0 at point C, whereas magnetic field is OC. And on further increase in H, A magnetization follows a path CD, means magnetization increases in the reverse direction from C to D till the point K. Now, if you go on increasing the magnetic field in the reverse direction beyond K, M will not increase in the reverse direction. It becomes constant at point D. Again, increase H from D to the direct direction, means again reverse the direction of magnetic field in the initial direction. Then what happens? Magnetization also increases from D to E, means magnetization again decreases from D to E. At point E, when external magnetic field H becomes 0, D to E, M does not become 0 because M is equal to OE. It again is showing that even on H is equal to 0, my M does not become 0. It becomes equal to OE, which is known to be residual magnetism or retentivity. Now further increasing magnetic field from O towards G, my magnetization first of all decreases till it becomes 0 at point F, then again starts to increase from F towards A. This is known as one complete cycle of magnetization. That means you can say over here as every time you increase the value of H, M increases first, then you decrease the value of H, M also decreases. When H becomes 0, M does not become 0. When H increases, M becomes 0 in the reverse direction. Again M decreases when H decreases. Again H increases when M increases. Here at point E, again M becomes 0 and so on. So this cycle of M and H, when a ferromagnetic sample is taken across a complete cycle of magnetization, it is simply known as magnetization curve. Alright. In this curve, what is your OA? OA, it is known as the original curve because once you magnetize the material, this curve never happens to see again. That means this is known as a virgin curve because once OA curve has lost, the material never gets returned to its initial state. Alright. This is what happens to the hysteresis. Now suppose a sample of ferromagnetic material in unmagnetized state is subjected to magnetic field H. As the magnetic field H is increasing from O to G means along OG, the magnetization will increase along the curve shown in figure A, that is OA. This curve OA is known as the virgin curve. The magnetization M vector reaches a saturation value M saturation at the point A. It does not further increase with increase in the value of H. Beyond the point A, it will not increase. Why it happens? It happens because all the dipoles are now aligned along H vector. So no dipole is left. That means no dipole is still unleft to become a magnetized vector. So that is why even on increasing the value of H, M does not increase, M becomes saturated. Now see what happens. Now come to retentivity. What happens to the retentivity? When the magnetic field is reduced from OG to 0, see, I have to reduce the magnetic from, I have to go back now from G to O. Magnetic field is being reduced from G to O. And then the magnetization also decreases, but the magnetization does not follow the original path OA. It decreases along ABC. You can see over here from the curve. So it falls along the path AB. When the magnetic field becomes 0, there exists a certain magnetization curve MR. See, I have to keep the diagram again over here along with me. See what happens. As B decreases, what happens? there is a certain magnetization Mr which is equal to OB in the sample. Thus, the nature of the, or you can say the value of the magnetization in the material even when the magnetic field becomes zero is called residual magnetism or retentivity. Now it comes to the coercivity. So again come to the figure. See over here. Here at point C, when M becomes 0, because on the x-axis the y component is always 0. At point C, when M becomes 0, H is not equal to 0. H is called OC. That means, what is OC? It is an external applied magnetic field which is required to make M equal to 0. And this OC, that must be in the opposite direction as compared to the initial magnetic field. Alright. So what is OC? It is the external magnetic field applied which is required to make the magnetization M vector equal to 0. Now see what happens. If now the direction of field H is reversed, the magnetization will again decrease following the path PC. The residual magnetism Mr becomes 0. At which point it becomes 0? It becomes 0 at point C. Now the residual magnetism becomes 0 when the magnetic field H has a value Hc which is equal to OC, coercive field. This value of the magnetic field which reduces the residual magnetization 0 is called coercive field or the coercivity of the material. This is coercive field. Field stands here for magnetic field. Coercive means in the reverse direction applied field. So as H is further increased in the reverse direction, magnetization also increases in the reverse direction. You can see from here. In the reverse direction, magnetization increases. Then and gets saturated in the reverse sense at point D. Thus the closed curve A, B, C, D, E, F, A, it is called the hysteresis curve for the material. So it is evident that when a sample of ferromagnetic material is taken through a cycle of magnetization, the magnetization M lags behind. So it is always behind the magnetic field H. When H is equal to 0, M has a minimum value. When M becomes 0, H increases. When H increases, M decreases, and so on. That means M lags behind the magnetic field H. This lagging of the magnetization behind the magnetic field is known as hysteresis. Now the study of the hysteresis curve. What is the need? What is the importance of this hysteresis curve? The study of this hysteresis curves helps in choosing suitable materials for making magnets or permanent magnets, for transformer cores or electromagnets, etc. So as a rule, what happens over here? Lesser is the area under the hysteresis loop, better is the material. That means whenever the hysteresis loop is narrow curve, for that material is supposed to be the best material for making the permanent magnet. And that is why alnico or steel are preferred over the soft iron to make the electromagnets, transformer cores, etc. Because if we find the hysteresis curve area for the two materials, for steel as well as for the iron, the area under the curve for steel will be much less as compared to that of the iron, soft iron, and that is why steel is always preferred. Now let us find the hysteresis losses. Now to find the hysteresis losses, what I will do, I will drive a graph between B and H. It is as similar as the graph between M and H, because what is B here? It is here again is the induced magnetism or magnetization vectors proportionality. Since M is the magnetization vector and B here is the induced field, B always follows H in the same way as M does follows the vector H. Now see, again I have plotted a graph between B and H. H is increased from HI to HF. Initially magnetic field is O to HF increased. B increases along OP. Then magnetic field is decreased. B also decreases but does not follow the original path. It decreases along PQ. At point Q, when H becomes 0, B has certain value BR, which is residual magnetism. Then on further decreasing or reversing the direction of H and increasing the H in the reverse direction, what happens? At point this here, H and B becomes 0, and then again increases up to point R, and so on. This one complete cycle starting from P, Q, R, S, then again P. This becomes one complete cycle of magnetization, and this area under this curve is known as the hysteresis curve. So my dear students, from here I have taken 2 points G and F, from where I have drawn perpendiculars to the x-axis, FE and GD. I will find this small area, and total area can be found by using the integrations from HI to HF. Now my dear students, we know that B is always proportional to H, where what is mu here? Mu is called permeability of the medium, or you can say the material whose magnetization we are going to study. Now what happens when B is proportional to H? You might have derived this relation between the magnetic energy density and the magnetization induction or magnetic induction B. This is a relation which you might have derived in 10 plus 2. The magnetic energy density is always given by B square upon 2 mu. So using the value of B as mu H, one B is taken as it is and one B is put as mu into H. I'll get half BH. That means magnetic energy can be written as half of the magnetizing field into the magnetic induction or induced magnetic field. Now let us know that we know that the ferromagnetic sample is taken through cycle of magnetization. So when H is increased to H plus DH, the magnetization or magnetic induction B becomes B plus dB. Then energy density is stored in the sample as E dash, means final energy will be half of B is through B plus dB and H becomes H plus DH. Just open this bracket. Now subtract the two equations. You will get the net gain or loss in energy. My dear students, here I want to tell you that I don't know whether it is a gain or loss in energy. So I have just taken the change in energy delta E. It is final energy minus initial energy. You will get this equation. Now again, B is equal to mu H. We know that the equation number 1. Differentiate it. dB you will get mu into dH. So from here, using in equation number 41, mu into dH is equal to dB. Here I will get this equation, or B into dH plus half mu H becomes B. So half BDH plus half BDH becomes BDH. So what is delta E? It is equal to BDH. Now what is BDH? What is B and what is DH? Come to this figure again. You can see from here, in this figure, my BH curve. See what happens? From G to F, B is almost constant because it's a very small curve. For small curve, you can take B almost as uniform, constant. So length of this rectangle is B and breadth is this one. So B, this one length or FE. It is almost the same lines. So length is B and what is the width? This is D, DE. So what is width? Change in the magnetic field. This is DH. So B into DH. This is area of this shaded portion. Alright. Now see, area of this shaded portion is area of the strip DEFG. So total gain in energy, it will be equal to the area of the loop RTPSR. See the loop RTPSR. Magnetic field is increased from HI to HF. So from moving HI to HF, the curve becomes RSP. So what is the gain in energy from going initial field to final field? It is area under the curve RSP. Similarly, I can prove that when the direction of magnetic field is reversed, moving the direction from HF to HI, the curve will be PQR. So it will be the area under this curve. So change in energy will be the area under the curve PQR. Alright, so I can prove this now. Total gain in energy will be equal to the area of the loop RT-PSR in increasing the field from HI to HF. Similarly, total energy lost by the sample in decreasing the magnetic field is from HF to HI is area of the upper curve. Now what will be the net change in energy? So energy lost per cycle would be energy gained minus energy lost, means area of the RT-PQR curve, that is the lower curve, minus area of the upper curve. And this area of the two curves when subtracted, we will get area of the hysteresis loop. Hence area under the hysteresis loop gives me the energy lost per unit volume, energy lost per unit volume of the circuit. That is, it is energy lost per unit volume per cycle of ferromagnetic material, and this lost energy appears in the form of heat. That heat which can destroy the magnetization of the sample. Thank you so much.